Now, the agriculture industry is welcoming the introduction of a new visa from the 30th of September, from providing a range of employment opportunities to workers in ASEAN countries. The industry had been pressuring the federal government for a long-term solution to farm labour shortages as a result of international travel restrictions. Let's go live now to David Littleproud, the Minister for Agriculture and Northern Australia. Minister, thanks so much for your time. I know you've been pushing this for some time. The premiers have been standing in the way, but for many, it's too little too late, isn't it?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. There's 25,000 men and women sitting in 10 Pacific nations that can still come. When it gets to skills, well, the Australian Border Force Commissioner, in fact, has the power to be able to allow those where there are skill shortages in with visas. So we've actually had a temporary mechanism in place. But what this is the largest structural change to agricultural workforce in our nation's history. This is, in fact, changing the dynamic entirely and giving the investment confidence to the agricultural sector to spend their money because they'll have the certainty of knowing people are coming in. But the biggest change in this is about bringing in the next generation of migrants into our country to grow agriculture and grow regional Australia, because we're giving them a pathway to permanent residency, because it's not just about seasonal workers, it's also about skilled and semi-skilled. So this is transformational in what we've been able to achieve, and it was part of the negotiations I had with the Liberal Party, and the National Party made sure that while we got good agricultural access for the UK Free Trade Agreement, the National Party also said we had to square the ledger on this visa that had to be done, and it's been overdue for far too long.
Well, that's great because it does provide a longer term solution. It means you're not just getting workers in for this season, but, as you know, I spoke to some harvesters a couple of months ago and they said they had 30 days to get these harvesters in. They needed the skilled workforce because the grain just doesn't hang around. Some of these crops have just been left to die, haven't they?
Well, there's been crops that have been left to rot, but there's also significant investment decisions being made now as we get into the warmer months, where farmers are simply saying, I'm not planting, or they're pulling out permanent plantings because they're saying we won't have the labour. So we're giving them the confidence, not only with that 25,000 men and women that are sitting there now, of which only 10,000 have come in, but we're now going to complement and supplement that with these from Southeast Asia and the UK. But we're going to need the states who are handling the quarantine for agricultural workers in addition to their caps.
Well, so
we're going to need them
to
show a little bit more courage. Sorry, I just didn't get that question.
Are the states on board with this? Because, as we know, in the last 18 months, if the states are not, any agreement you strike doesn't really matter if they're not on board.
Well, they are, in fact, and this is why we're asking them to show a little bit more urgency. On the 11th of December, after National Cabinet, the Premiers all reaffirmed that they wanted to own the quarantining of agricultural workers. In fact, Dan Andrews was leading the charge in his statement, saying that this was an economic imperative and also goes to the heart of making sure that supermarket prices don't get out of control. So we've respected the sovereignty of the states. We understand that, and we're working with them in saying, here are the solutions. You've got to get your chief health officers and your premiers to get comfort with those solutions, to tick it off. Otherwise, we can't stamp the visas. And this is critical, and I think industry has shown the maturity to come forward and looking for solutions. We just now need the states to show a little bit of courage, back ourselves, and know that we can do this in a COVID-safe way.
But are they showing that courage? You're kind of talking like it's a bit of a grey area, not set in stone.
Well, let me tell you, some states are. I've got to say, South Australia is probably the exemplar. They are the closest to meeting the demand of labour in their state than any other. While they haven't got the most numbers coming in, they're getting close to meeting the demand because they've put a facility themselves where they've quarantined, and now they're looking to do in-country quarantining with Vanuatu. Every other state has turned their back on it. Queensland has got the most numbers in coming in, but it doesn't go anywhere near meeting the requirements because they've gone to on-farm, which we encourage, but we're now finding that they're knocking back on-farm applications. In fact, even one in my own electorate where they'd gone to the expense of hundreds of thousands of dollars of building the quarantine facility on-farm, and then at the 11th hour being knocked back by the Queensland government. So we're just saying, you've got to work with the industry. There's solutions out there, and it's up to the states who want to own this. We've all got a responsibility in this. We've got one level of responsibility that we've got to live up to, and we're just saying to the states, some states have done a good job in trying to live up to their responsibility, but now's the time to shine, because otherwise our farmers, after finally getting some rain, look like making a quid, now are going to be left at the altar with nothing.